guys. Next, we're going to be talking about the boycott Blizzard that's been going around. I am with Squeaks on this one. How you doing, Squeaks?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Not happy about the situation, but
Yeah.
generally okay. So let's go ahead and start off with explaining our perspective on this. Uh, we, as a podcast, are very big Blizzard fans. We have a Blizzard corner that's about monthly, and we it's our favorite developers. It's where a lot of us hang out are in Blizzard games. It's where I met a lot of friends that are still today friends that I've had for a long time. All of our listeners are well aware of this. We have a lot of Blizzard content. So when this came out, we were almost hoping that it would blow over or that it wasn't as bad as it was seeming. But unfortunately, there's a lot of harsh details. We're going to go over the details. I have sources at the end of this so that you guys could look this up from the sources. Um, and then we'll kind of go from there. What do you think, Squeaks? Does that sound fair?
Yes, definitely agree.
Okay.
If I had to do a quick thing, it is unfortunate that something like this is happening to a company that we love. We don't want obviously anything that we love the most to be having any tensions to just
Yeah.
inflict damage on products that we enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Because the harsh part about this is Blizzard Company is a great company. The thing, generally, in general, was how we normally. It's so hard to talk about this, but anyways, the thing that's the main thing that we care about is the community behind it. So it's hard when I now would go and see how my community's doing, and there's some of them that are leaving because of boycott Blizzard, and there's some that are staying around, and it's like, okay, that's unfortunate. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna break down what had happened to create this boycott Blizzard problem,
Hmm.
the reaction from basically the internet, the boycott Blizzard reaction, and then we're going to go over Blizzard's official response because just yesterday, we're recording this on a Saturday on the 12th. On the 11th, they had made their announcement, and then we're going to talk about if that's enough and what else they can do. So let's go ahead and start off with what had happened. On the 6th in Taiwan, a gentleman, his gamer tag is Blitzchung. We're going to call him Blitzchung because when you choose your name, that's your name.
Yeah.
And so I am Taff. Uh, he's a Hearthstone player, and he was on a streamed interview with casters after the Asia Pacific Hearthstone Grandmasters match. At the end of the interview, the casters said, and I'm paraphrasing this, said, "Say what you want to say, and then we'll be done," because they knew what he had wanted to get out there. He's from Hong Kong.
Hmm.
They then ducked underneath their desks. Blitzchung shouted in his language. He shouted, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time." Sometimes that's age. So translation, is hard on all this stuff. While wearing a gas mask and goggles, which is a symbol of the protest.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah. So Blitzchung is from Hong Kong, where this is the rallying cry for the current Hong Kong protests that are going on over there. There's a bunch of stuff that's like with Overwatch, for example. The Taiwanese team isn't considered. They're not called from Taiwan. They're instead say Chinese Taipei, and they can't even use the Taiwanese flag. They have to use this Chinese Taipei flag, which is not necessarily the flag that the players follow. On the 8th, 2 days later, Blizzard announced that Chung's prize money had been rescinded and he will be suspended for a year. And the two casters were fired. I hear from other resources that they were also suspended for a year, but what my latest thing says that they were fired. According to Blizzard, Chung violated the 2019 Hearthstone Grandmasters official competition rules, section 6.1, which forbids any act that brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, or otherwise damages Blizzard's image. Then they further on, that was in the rules, okay? And then in the statement, they further on go, Grandmasters is the highest tier of Hearthstone esports, and we take the tournament rules violation very seriously. After an investigation, we are taking the necessary actions to prevent similar incidences from happening in the future. So, from the rules, I'm bringing it to you, Squeaks, now. Do you think he violated the rules according to their stated rules there?
Well, you're saying that it was about offending, if you could say that line again, offending a certain
So yeah,
people, or what was that?
so you can't offend a portion or group of people of the public, basically, and you can't damage the Blizzard image.
Well, man, that's tough. Because I guess you're not really offending. Well, I guess you're offending your government in a way, which your
That's
government's
the
being
tough
harsh
part.
right now.
Yeah,
Um, Now, making Blizzard look bad, maybe there was a better way of doing it, not acting like a childish, putting a gas mask on, and then
Well,
yelling
hold
some
on,
shit.
hold on. I want to correct you right there.
Okay.
I just want to say the gas mask thing that is their symbol for this riot. So it's like they also have the umbrella symbol. So it looks silly maybe from our point of view, but from their point of view, it is actually like their rallying cry. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't
I
know. If you're
I
still trying
will
to be
say this
professional,
though.
you still need to be professional in a way.
Right. I will say this though, the casters I think were slightly unprofessional. They were kind of laughing and joking around beforehand, and then I think it might have been because they knew that he was going to do this, and they're trying to seem more whimsical about the situation,
Mm,
knowing that they were probably going to get fired. That's the reason they ducked underneath the desks right before he said it, so that they weren't seen on camera.
yeah.
They have a very big censorship issue in China to where there's so many things you can't even Google. We won't even get into the whole Winnie the Pooh situation, which is famous over there. Um, but yeah, so you're thinking that he might have violated it, or
Well, it's like borderline, really. Because if
really,
you're
yeah.
if I don't know, like it's not there to. God, it's kind of hard to choose my words on this one. It's not
Dude, I know.
because it's like on the line. You're not really officially offending someone, but then Blizzard has the standard that they want to present themselves. So you putting on this gas mask and shouting out some shit about what you believed in.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not really like 100% it's clear. It's not like he said F these people or whatever the case may be. It's not feels so directed.
And and one big thing we do on this podcast, guys, just to give you a heads up, is when we first started this podcast, there was three things we were not going to talk about: politics, race, religion. We do talk about race sometimes because of casting situations, and I think we handle those quite well.
Yeah, I don't think we
Uh,
know mean no harm.
oh,
We
we never do,
yeah.
no. And then politics. This is literally the first time we're talking about politics. Is why we're trying to be so sensitive to every single thing we're saying. So we will be backing everything we're saying with sources at the end of this, just because we're really trying to be particular on this. So I just want to kind of get that out there before we get too much farther. Now, personally, for me, I think the key here with this statement is that it's just way too loose. Blizzard
Yeah.
really needs to tighten this thing up. If they don't want politics in there, then say you don't want politics. Because
Agree.
currently, what's going on is they're using this umbrella term, and people are upset about. Um, okay, well then, Blizzard, you need to your American company defend the American ideals, which is freedom, and that's what's being argued for in these Hong Kong protests is these laws that were being passed upon them, and which is like literally what we rebelled against over 200 years ago. So, and then one big thing I want to make sure to get out there too before we go too much farther is this: the Chinese version of the statement is quite different. The translation is rough, so it's hard because there's a lot of tonal stuff that's changed over there. But essentially, it says that the casters were banned for life, and that they totally disagree with what was said, not necessarily that he broke the rules. It was a disagreement in what he had said. And then they ended it with, "We will uphold our country's honor." Now, this is a statement by an American country talking about the honor that Chinese government is, having an issue with. So there, this was up on the Hearthstone website. Some people are like, well, it could have been written by Tencent, which owns 5% of the company. And as a Chinese company that does that, they own 100% of Riot Gaming now, League of Legends.
Mm.
But even if that's the case, it was still on the Hearthstone website. So this was endorsed by
Yeah.
Blizzard, this Chinese version of the statement. And it's a much more harsh statement. So it's a little tricky. Yeah. Let's go into what Chong's response was here. He had told the website, this esports news website, Invin Global, which I hadn't heard about them before, but they actually have some interesting articles there. He had said, "As you know, there are serious protests in my country now. My call on stream was just another form of participation of the protest that I wish to grab more attention." So he knew that he was going to get in trouble. During the full interview, you could tell he knew that he was going to get in trouble doing this. He just thought that this is my chance. I'm on a global stage. I'm going to try to bring some attention to by people that are out there. In that sense, I do applaud him. I think, he might have gotten these two casters in trouble in doing that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the casters felt about that. It felt kind of like maybe it was a put upon them.
Well, you're saying the Castro semi knew that he was going to do this, correct?
They did know that he was going to do this, but
Yeah.
I wonder if it was a request on his part. You know what I'm saying? Like, say, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to do the interview, but by heads up, at the end of it, I'm going to shout out something that's probably going to be offensive to a lot of the audience. And they're like, okay, I guess. That's why they, then they ducked under the desk afterwards.
Yeah, so you think
Um,
they duck under the desk because of like scared of being seen or they knew it was gonna
yes.
happen? Okay, so then do you think they knew that it was gonna happen? Like, okay, we're with you, but we don't want to be a part on TV, or it's like, holy shit, he's doing it, let's duck.
No, I think they might have been with him. I don't want to put words in their mouth in that aspect.
Yeah, no.
But when you watch the stream, they're side by side. So him saying this would have their faces up, and I think they're thinking like, you know what, if we want to have a future in Hong Kong, China, then we need to make sure that we're not seen here. And so they ducked underneath, knowing that there's a censorship problem that they have over there that they needed to be ahead of the game on it.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it depends if they were dragged into this. If it was dragged into us, then shame on Blitzchung for
yeah,
making people not 100% on board with you. Put them in,
that's
put them
that's
in
the
a
thing.
situation.
Yeah, and if you had said like, "Hey guys, yeah, it's a shame that if they were innocent in the situation, that they got blamed for it." Blitzchung took the chances, and he's feeling the repercussion from it. But he took the chances knowing that he really needed to get his message out there. It's just a form of protest that he felt like, this is my opportunity. I'm out there.
Now, do you think
Um,
he could have done it a more professional way instead of shouting out what he did?
I don't think. I don't, it's one of those things where it's a protest, so you have to kind of be disruptive. It's the point of the protest. So I
Yeah.
think he might have done it the best way he could have.
I don't know. I just feel like if you talk more professional in a way. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
when
I
you
get what you're
watch it
saying with the
again,
protest though, but yeah.
it's hard because when you watch the actual stream, there might be a bit of a cultural difference too.
Mm.
Because when I'm watching the streams, like they seem like they're all joking around,
Hmm.
but it could be because I'm from a different culture. I'm not understanding it as well.
Yeah.
But it's tricky. So let's now move on to the internet's repercussion for this. Okay, we're gonna move on to the boycott Blizzard stuff. The internet reacted swiftly, asking for the boycott on all of Blizzard's products. Both Blizzard and Boycott Blizzard were trending on Twitter. Memes started getting out there. You know how the meme game is,
Yeah.
and they're actually pretty good too. The character Mei from Overwatch.
Yes.
So they've been using her as like their mascot now for this Hong Kong protest and the
Uh,
boycott Blizzard. And right after this,
okay.
they you should see some of the artwork. They've done a really fantastic job, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
One of her sayings, because all the Overwatch people have sayings, one of them is "Our world is worth fighting for." They've been using that
Yeah.
directly against Blizzard, because they feel like Blizzard should be fighting for freedom, and they've been basically doing a bunch of different renderings using Mei as like this new Hong Kong front. She's a Chinese character within the game of Overwatch. If you guys are not familiar with her, and they use a lot of her Chinese New Year's costume, and then like change that up.
Yeah.
And then everybody's been trying to delete their accounts. Well, not everybody. There's been a lot of people that are trying to delete their accounts. It got so bad that now this is according to Twitter screenshots. Because if you go into the hashtag, you could see a lot of people sharing the screenshots of them, going through processes. One guy was taking off the Overwatch symbol on his car, stuff like that. Well, it was getting to the point, according to the screenshots, that when people were deleting their account, it was eventually blocking them because you have to authenticate you before you can delete that account, of course. All 4 versions of authentication were eventually terminated so that you couldn't delete your account at a certain point. Because during the quarterly calls, I mean, they do these quarterly, fiscal calls, and if all of a sudden, oh yeah, we lost 20 million accounts or something like that, it's going to look very bad. So, of course, Blizzard had to stop the bleeding. I don't know if they should have. I actually don't think they should have done it that way. I think that's unfortunate, And then the last thing that Blizzard was doing, or the internet was reacting on Blizzard forums. It's a place where people share their ideas and what they want out of Blizzard a lot of times. So like if you're an Overwatch player and you're like, oh, it feels like Mei is overpowered, you can complain on the forums. And if enough people do, Blizzard will take action and nerf Mei. Big place for World of Warcraft. Well, they actually were putting bans out. And if you had mentioned anything about deleting your account or about the Hong Kong situation, these are according to screenshots, they were banning people for 1,000 years. Just pretty heavy ban. Uh,
Now, do you think is there anything in Blizzard lore that represents 1,000 years?
oh, I see what you're saying. Like this is kind of like
Yeah, you think they
this would be.
reference like something in World of Warcraft story or something? Because that 1,000 years is pretty. Come on now.
Well, they showed people were showing like, oh yeah, I can't play or I can't use the forums again until October 10th, 3019,
That's so
and
crazy.
it's so crazy. I don't think Blizzard would be insane enough to do that. Like if they were like, oh, well, we'll kind of make a joke about like
Yeah, that
that's
is
the
kind of
last time
fucked up, but
Arthas
it's
attacked
funny.
or some. Yeah, boy, Blizzard would be stepping into some shit if they did that. But yeah, so the internet basically has been in an outrage. It's even making like news coverage. My parents who watch like old people like news, they were like, "Did you hear about this thing, that Blizzard company that you like so much?" And I had to explain to them like the full details. Like, what's this kid's name? What he's got a crazy name. Like, oh, it's Blitzchung, you know. So I had to kind of explain the situation to them. So yeah, it spreaded pretty quick.
Hmm.
We also saw other companies start to disagree with Blizzard. The
Well,
two notable
real
ones.
quick on the people, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course,
So,
of course.
like, I think we briefly talked about this right before, but the people that are complaining are here problem what in the states, or who are the majority that you think?
Well, it seemed worldwide. A lot of
Okay,
UK, a lot of the states, of course.
a lot of 'cause they don't. Like I said, we're lucky to be where we're at and have
Of
say
course,
freedoms we do. So they're not
yes.
used to. You can't. Okay, a lot of people like say war. Oh, we want to be the good guys. Oh, we shouldn't be the good guys because it's a bad idea. Oh, but we want to be the good guys. Okay, so fucking pick one. One.
Right,
So
right.
if you want to share like our freedoms that we have here and then spread it to China, you got to understand that it's not like this everywhere. So it's real easy just to scream and shout like, "Oh, they should have freedom of speech, or we should have freedom, or our person should have freedom of speech as well." Yeah, we have freedom of speech, but doesn't mean we have repercussions of what we say. So if
Right,
you're an
right.
athlete, this is just any athlete, and fuck it, why not? Because I'm not a big fan of calling video gamers athletes because I don't consider myself an athlete when I play video games, except for FIFA.
I am.
So I say, except for FIFA, maybe I put
Of
my
course,
cleats
yeah.
on and then sit in the living room. So, so, um, so athletes were signing a contract. You're saying in the contract that he had these things. Yeah, I feel like they're borderline to what it uh, said about keeping a certain image,
Hmm.
and they can change those rules to be more specific, like hey, no politics and all that shit, because we have an image that we want to keep.
Yeah,
Our money's coming in from everywhere. So if
right.
that's what it is, you have to respect that in your contract, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Later on too, we get a when from the official response from Blizzard. I think they explain that part pretty well. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's smart, but they do.
hmm
So we'll get to that when we get to Blizzard's official response.
okay. But then the
But yeah,
people,
they
yeah,
do kind of.
yeah, I think people are
I
overly
think one
reacting.
thing. Well, I think people were. This is something like day one when this came out. I told everybody like this is just internet rage. You guys need to
Yeah,
actually follow this up if you believe this. So you have the two kind of you have actual rage where you guys are like, okay, then unsubscribe stuff. Stop. Overwatch is coming out next week on Switch. Everybody
hmm
who buys Overwatch next week on Switch best not be typing out hashtag boycott Blizzard right now. Don't buy Overwatch on Switch. That's how
true.
you're going to hit their poker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it to me it's irritating when you got people that are like, oh, I'm just posting pictures and saying hashtag boycott Blizzard because it's trending and I want to be cool. Then next week you're gonna go buy Overwatch. Bullshit. If you actually don't support Blizzard, then don't support them. They don't care
true.
what you're putting on Twitter. They care about their bank account. So actually don't support them.
Yeah, true. I
You know?
agree. I agree. Because Halloween costumes are gonna come out for Overwatch, and I'm gonna be dropping some money.
Right. I mean I look great with those Tracer pants. Don't think I'm
Yeah.
not being going as Tracer. So yeah. All right. Yeah. Other companies though they've been saying they disagree with Blizzard. The two big notable ones is Epic Games. Of course, they're huge because of Fortnite, and
hmm
we do their Epic Game Store, freebie games every Friday. Guys, check those videos out. Epic says Epic supports everyone's right to express their views on politics and human rights. We wouldn't ban or punish a Fortnite player or contestant creator for speaking on these topics. This was in an interview with Verge. So that's a big
Do,
one. Epic has taken some shit in the past, and they're over here saying like, we're gonna defend human rights and politics, and our
do
views
they
in
sponsor
politics.
anyone though? Epic.
They have their own. They have Fortnite, the tournament from Fortnite.
Okay, so if because this person from Blizzard is sponsored by Blizzard, correct? Or no?
No, well, no, they're just a player. They're not
Oh,
sponsored by Blizzard. No.
oh, this is interesting then. But you said he
Yeah,
signed a
they're
contract, right?
right for the tournament to be in the tournament.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
hmm, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not as simple as being banned. It's like
No,
we can't even say it's like football because that's something you and me both know very well is American football.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, even then you're signed to a team. This is something different. You're
So
participating
what
in a tournament.
happens with a Fortnite kid comes along and every time he's playing, he's showing these political images from a T-shirt or a flag or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
Every say on TV, Epic is not. I put money that Epic will be like, shit, okay, this is lasting a little too long than expected.
that's the thing is we're at a time now where we just don't know because it's not been tested yet. This
Yeah,
version of sports has not been tested before,
yeah,
so we're just now kind of learning.
yeah.
Uh, then other company that kind of stepped out and I think was kind of shit because a lot of companies are saying like, oh yeah, we wouldn't do this just to kind of get on the bandwagon too. One of them in particular is which hold on before I say that though, there are companies that are trying to do good.
Hmm.
Epic statement, I think whether or not they'd stick to it, I think is a good statement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, this card game called Gods Unchained, it's a new card game. They offered to pay for Blitzchung's prize money and gave him a ticket to their tournament.
Who the
So
fuck is this company?
yeah, Gods Unchained. They're a brand new card game, and they're trying to like, step in on
Gods
Hearthstone money.
Unchained. Okay.
So I thought that was a pretty interesting way. Like, if you think about the ad revenue, if Blitzchung was to come out and say like, yeah, I'm going to Gods Unchained, they treat me right. Holy cow! All of a sudden, trending is Gods Unchained.
Shit. Yeah, that's a smart move on Gods Unchained then.
Yeah, honestly, all companies should kind of be. There's been so many. Another thing too is I see a lot of if you boycott Blizzard and you're an Overwatch player, come play Paladins. If you're like like the Paladins guys are making these memes to send out to try to get the boycott players or boycott Blizzard players over. So Paladins, they're trying to get the Overwatch guys, and
Yeah.
then you get Magic the Gathering, whatever. They're trying to make the ones that get the Hearthstone guys. So everybody's working this, trying to peel away Blizzard because Blizzard has been. If you're a Blizzard fan, a lot of times you're loyal to them. And those that are actually leaving, it's a good time to try to get them hooked into something different because they're the kind of player that will return, that will spend money in your game after they already bought the game. These are the best kind of gamers right now. Like Blizzard players are some of the best players there are. So if you can get them, you're gonna get some good players for life. Uh,
Yeah,
what's
because
that?
that's true. Because I mean, let's face it, a lot of the games that we play that are similar to Blizzard games, we compare it to Blizzard games, and then we just love them more.
Always,
They always.
always. Every time
Yeah.
I play another MMO, we've tried MMOs before.
Yep.
We always say like maybe in the beginning, like this is gonna be the WoW killer. This is gonna be great. Fast forward, 20 hours of playing, we're like, I could be just playing World of Warcraft right now. It's a better, well-made game.
Easy.
So that happens all the time.
Yep.
Politicians from in the United States, we have two major parties. Both sides are agreeing that Blizzard should do something about this to fight back against China, the pressure from China, and then the biggie, the
Hold
one that
on. What was
really
that last part? You saying our two parties are actually agreeing with what?
both parties agree that Blizzard should stand up to China.
Okay, two things that are crazy in that statement. One, both of them
They
agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Two is I'm kind of surprised. Well, I mean, I get on some
Yeah,
sides that we want to
I know,
take
yeah.
bring things back and whatnot, whatever, cool. But I'm actually surprised though on that one.
I'm happily surprised on it, but I am surprised by it. I think it's good, but yeah, I'm a little happy surprised by that.
Yeah, until your socks start costing $25 for two pairs.
Exactly. I think politicians are just going for sound bites right now.
Yeah.
And then the thing that really I think hit big was that the Blizzard employees started voicing their opinion. So
Hmm.
we had Blizzard employees go out on protest. They surrounded the Orc Warrior statue that's at the entrance of the Blizzard campus, using the umbrellas, which is another symbol of the Hong Kong riots from back in 2014, I think it was when they first started. And then this renewed one, they also bring them back the umbrellas. They covered two sayings. So on the statue, around the base of it, is 8 sayings. 2 of them were covered up. One of them is "Think globally." The other one is "Every voice matters." These 8 statements are the statements in which Blizzard, the company, live by. So to cover these two up, showing that Blizzard has turned their back on their core values.
Okay,
essentially.
well, what do you think globally stands for?
Right. So they're saying think globally as in lead the way into what you think would be right. like, well, another one that I don't think they covered it up was like leadership first. I say it later on in the notes, but yeah. So it's kind of tricky.
Okay, but then it's like, okay, do you take it as think globally, like, hey, other shit's going on, and you should be considerate of what's going on, or just be like, no, like what you said, we should be, you know.
Well, you got to remember that while maybe one country is offended by something that's being said, the other country is celebrating it. So we can't just say that you have to be like, oh, well, you're offending one country. It's really tricky. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, they covered. So then a bunch of forum mods quitted too. So like, there's on the forums you have moderators that are kind of keeping things clean, keeping things. Well, a bunch of them just quit out of this. And then the last thing, which was pretty nuts, I think it was that night that Blitzchung was banned. There was a U.S. Hearthstone event going on that was live streamed from Blizzard, and one of the U.S. teams held up a pro Hong Kong, bring back Blizz, whatever it was. Anyways, and right away they cut the feed on that team. They showed just the other team during a BlizzCon or during a Hearthstone match. They did that for like 5-10 seconds. Then they cut to the two announcers that were like, quickly scrambling. They were clearly on their toes.
Yeah.
So that was pretty nuts. Yeah. And, yeah. And then there are protests already planned for BlizzCon on Reddit. So Reddit.
Man, let's talk about that.
Well, we'll get to it. Let me hold on. Give me one second.
Okay, you get me all excited.
Well, actually, yeah, let's just go. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to be talking about the whole, like, they're banning people on the forums, but basically that's it. So, yeah, we're going to BlizzCon, right? You, me,
yes.
We're going to BlizzCon. And we plan on doing a lot of, we're going to do a pregame show for BlizzCon. It's always our biggest episode. The BlizzCon episode's always our biggest one. So we do a pregame BlizzCon episode. We do 2 while we're there. And then oftentimes the next time we get together, we're still talking BlizzCon and some of the wrapping up of it. So it's huge for us. We're still going to BlizzCon.
Yes.
We're not going to boycott BlizzCon. We look forward to it. Here in America, we have very limited vacation, and you kind of have to. This is my vacation every year is BlizzCon. Very rarely do I go somewhere else during the year. I usually go to BlizzCon while I'm down there. I go to Disneyland, stuff like that. So it becomes my vacation. And so it's one of those things where we're going. I think, though, I'm going to get your opinion on this now, and we'll see what you think. We will be sharing all the news from all the announcements, World of Warcraft announcements, Diablo, everything like that. We're going to be sharing all that announcements. I think we should also be sharing whatever protests happen to be down there, showing pictures of those too. What do you think?
I think we could talk. I think we could definitely talk about what's going on there. If there's a huge crowd, little crowd, whatever the case may be, because it is something that's going to be a hot topic. Even though inside the convention they might try to ignore it and not mention anything about it, still everyone else knows around it. They want to know what's going on. Because if they're not there, even they still do the virtual ticket, right? You can watch BlizzCon.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to show that stuff. So.
Right, and I think we should show it because I like to stream what it's like. The big thing this year we want to do is show video from the actual convention floor so you guys can see what it's like on the convention floor. Because BlizzCon is wonderful, it's huge, it's big, it's this big grand spectacle. So we want to show you guys that. It's the same place they do D23 to kind of explain how big this thing can be. But we're going to show you all of it. So if they are protesting out there, we'll show you the protests. We'll show you all that too. So you will get the full scene because that's what is big in Blizzard right now.
Yeah.
This is all less than a month away from BlizzCon. So
as we're there, be considerate of others. Don't fucking block my way while I get my ticket because I'm looking forward to going.
Right. There possibly will be people that do that. And the hard part is we spent good money to go. It's not like we get press passes. I mean, God, I wish.
Yeah.
We spend money for it. We spend money on the hotel and stuff like that. There are a lot of streamers stuff like that to do. We're just not big enough to get free press passes. But Blizz, I mean, hey, come on.
Yeah, really.
So we're going to be going. And yeah, so we spent our good money on it. Let's try to enjoy it as well and just still share all the good news to you guys and bad news, everything that happens.
True.
Okay, so now Blizzard's official response. This just came out on Friday. And what they ended up doing is they decreased the ban on Blitzchung and the 2 casters down to 6 months and returned the prize money to Blitzchung. And I've heard from one resource that they actually invited him back to the current tournament system. So like after this, basically the ban will kick in. I'm not sure about that because I only heard it from one place and I'm not entirely positive on that. J. Allen Brack, who's the president of Blizzard, actually last year at BlizzCon, they made the switch over from Mike to Jay. He put this big big statement out, but I'm just going to go over a couple key things from there. They are still committed to their values to think globally and every voice matters. They feel that their esports program is an expansion of their values and want to bring together people from all cultures. They use the post-match interviews, which is what this was. It was a post-match interview, to hear the excitement of the players and feel it was wrong for Blitzchung to use that moment to talk about a situation in Hong Kong. While they feel every voice matters, they do want the official broadcast to be focused on the esports themselves. And then this last statement, this is an exact quote, so I'm going to read exactly what the quote was. Part of thinking globally, leading responsibly was the other one I couldn't think of earlier, and every voice matters is recognizing that we have players and fans in almost every country in the world. Our goal is to help players connect in areas of commonality, like their passion of our games, and to create sense of shared communities. So that's directly from them. The key there, I think, is the fact that they have players in every part of the world. And so I'm going to go, like, personally, my stance on this is I think you guys are a game of heroes, like especially Overwatch, but all of your games are heroes. And we strive to be heroes. And I think they have to step up and just be better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I think this is a moment where Blizzard could... Okay, so we talked about... What do you think about that? What do you think about their statement?
Well, you're probably gonna hate me. I think if a company agrees to have whatever type of actions after a certain something like this happens, they need to stick with it. Now, if they dumb it down a little bit, I understand. I think $10,000 off the athletes, the
There's
player,
prize winnings.
it's kind of like, yeah, it's a little harsh for someone that just plays a video game and that's their income. But
Yeah.
banning him, fine, ban him, okay, cool, whatever. But to go back on their actions, I think is a cowardly move.
I would... Yeah, I'm sorry. I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, you're good. But you see a lot of people do that because they get scared of what the backlash is. You need to be
Right.
stick with. Now, are you trying to fix a little bit of it to have a better, I don't know, stance on it? I guess to try to meet in the middle in a way. Yeah, and that's great. Just be the company that sticks to it no matter what. In a way, good or
I
bad.
think this is... Yeah, I think a good way to walk away from this... I have two different ways they could walk away from this, and I think it'd be good. First off, they would have to totally unban everybody, give all the money back, and then they need to go through and say, we're going to be changing our policy and actually be very direct in what exactly is against the rules,
Okay.
so that there isn't any loopholes, because I think their policy is just too loose.
Yeah, because it's hard when we pinpointed it in the beginning of this episode. We're like, well, it's kind of here and kind of there. No, it just needs to be more strict.
Yeah. What I would really like, this is like in a perfect world scenario, of course, this is something that's damn near impossible. I would like for Blizzard to come out and say, here's his money back, here's everything back. And we're going to lead the effort into trying to strive for freedom everywhere. Like if you're going to be an American company that tries to lead narratives that have heroes overcoming oppression, then okay, be a company doing that. And really push for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is your chance. Right now, all eyes are on you, Blizzard. Take this negative and turn it into your chance to be the paladin. You know what I'm saying? Get out there, be Tyrell, be the hero, really step forward. Because there's a lot of companies, and we'll go over a couple of them here, that bend the knee to China. And China's a growing market. So that's one thing. Like, Blizzard has stockholders. They're beholden to making sure the stockholders receive money. And that's just how capitalism works. And a company like, okay, so Disney, for example, they do a lot of things. Like Marvel, they changed the monk that's Doctor Strange's Grandmaster. They changed him from my Tibetan monk to the white lady because they didn't want to. They couldn't use a Tibetan monk for China.
Hold on, what? So they edited that whole character out of the movie?
No. So Doctor Strange's mentor, the Grandmaster. That's what I'm trying to think of. The Grandmaster,
the white lady, right?
Yeah, she's supposed to be a Tibetan monk. They
Okay.
didn't want to use a Tibetan because they can't, basically, in China. China doesn't want anybody to recognize Tibet as its own thing.
Okay, so what they call it when they end up calling her?
Well, they didn't call her anything, but normally it's clearly a Tibetan monk.
Oh, okay.
Reddit, for example, everybody uses, they're getting these riots together, or these protest together for BlizzCon. They received $1.5 billion from Tencent for political self censorship. So they're receiving money from this whole thing too.
Oh
Um,
wow. Fucking
yeah,
Reddit.
it's pretty nuts. Let's see, a bunch of airlines, they won't show the map. They get in trouble if they show the map without Taiwan or anything like that included in.
Mhm.
Paramount Pictures removed the Taiwanese flag on a Tom Cruise jacket in Top Gun sequel. So he had like the Taiwanese flag on there. They removed it off of there digitally
That's
so that it wasn't a
ridiculous.
problem
You know
in China.
what? This is getting ridiculous because this is all news to me too. If you companies are just too greedy. They want as most money as they can. Marvel just obviously recently went over to China, and we saw how that big ass launch was with the movie,
Yeah,
with one of the Avengers movies. But it's like at some point, that's not cool,
there's a whole bunch
and
of them, dude.
that's ridiculous. It's to the point where it's like you're gonna make a billion here. You're just being greedy, making billions everywhere. And okay, I get that. Money's money, money. Everybody wants more money. But at some point, it's like, what can't you buy with $1 billion that you have to need $2 billion for?
Yeah,
This is getting
there's a
ridiculous.
there's a couple more crazy ones I want to make sure to get out there before we
Hmm.
go back to the main point of this. Mercedes-Benz apologized for using a Dalai Lama quote in their ads because they don't believe in the Dalai Lama, or they don't believe in that Dalai Lama. They think that they already have, they're trying to, they're picking the next, I can't remember the next Lama basically that picks back and forth. They're trying to steer it into their thing. So they banned him, or
Oh my god.
they apologized for that. Mercedes-Benz did. Okay, one more that I forgot about too. Apple. So you know how we have like there's iCloud stuff like that.
Hmm.
In China, the state-run telecom company saves every piece of Apple data that goes through your Apple phone.
Damn,
So
this is
they're
insane.
just farming off the Apple phones over in China. Now, Blizzard, not a big company compared to some of these other companies like Apple and Disney and stuff like that. But the eyes are on them right now. This is the time for them to come out and say a statement that can push for, if Blizzard says something, and then if Epic wants to join in on this, if they can get somebody big like Disney, or Reddit's a good size. If Reddit wants to give the $1.5 billion from Tencent, and remember Blizzard's owned by 5% of Tencent, or Tencent owns 5% of Blizzard, so there's that too. But yeah, they can. This is pretty crazy, but Blizzard
Well,
could take this moment to really lead the charge.
now two things come to mind though. One, Epic better fucking back them up for the statements that they're saying and not fucking
Of
go
course,
with their tail
yeah.
between their legs. And two, can Blizzard take a hit like this though, with the money
If
that they
Blizzard
bring
came
in
out and
over
said that
there?
statement, I think they might have. I personally, this is just me, Frank. I personally would. I would buy extra digital shit that so right now
Yeah,
I
but
use gold to buy the.
you can't make up that 12% that they make from like the Asian Pacific area.
Well, look, I'm not going to provide 12% of
Yeah,
Blizzard's income
yeah,
myself, but I think there might be that kind of response. It will definitely not be the 12%.
yeah,
But I think their fans, because the Blizzard of old, before Activision, I mean, my God, the fans would carry them upon their shoulders and would do anything for them. That's the Blizzard that we all love, really.
yeah,
The Activision thing kind of hurts nowadays.
yeah.
So I think if there's enough positive feedback, I mean, Classic WoW just raked in a bunch of cash. They have a cushion right now. So this is the time to take that chance and see what they can do.
It's
If it
kind of
was
like what I
just, it's so
mentioned.
hard because it's publicly traded.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I mentioned. Like, do you really need the other source of income to support what you are now? Like, just say if they lost China,
Hmm.
why do you need that income? What do you need to pay for that you can't without China? You know,
Yeah,
like how are
yeah,
you not sustainable without that? That's insane to me. You should be able to. So if that's like you're saying you want to be that true heroism that you make these characters out to be, then I don't know, do something about it. If that's what you believe in too, now it's just a money game. If you don't, we know
yeah.
why. I get it.
So we'll see how things go. If there's any major developments in this, we'll of course add it to the next couple episodes. Our next episode is going to be primarily it'll be news, and it'll be a lot of this. Our gosh, what I can't think of anything right now. I'm all Overwatch, but it's not Overwatch. Watchmen.
Yeah.
We're doing our comic book club. It's the Watchmen episode. That'll be next week. And then the week after that, we'll be doing our big BlizzCon episode. So I'm sure if there's any developments, we'll have a moment to talk about it there. And it'll be our BlizzCon prep episode. So you'll be hearing more from us, guys. Again, we'll give you all the news from BlizzCon, whatever way it goes. And if you disagree with us, please let us know on Twitter. I'm always open to have conversations with anybody that disagrees with us. We have a very good and active Twitter group. It's just, this is a tough one for us. I'm not going to lie. This is a tough one for us. We're really trying to be careful about the words we say. Oh, I want to give the sources for everything that I've been talking about. Jesse Young from CNN Business, Tom Matheson, maybe? Matheson, that's the one. From Invent Global, he's the one that interviewed Blitzchung. Lauren Strapagali from BuzzFeed News. And then there's Bellular's YouTube channel. You guys should always check out Bellular. And also Talias and Evertell's YouTube channel. They both had some really good details. So check those guys out, all those writers and YouTubers and different websites that have quite a bit of good news on this, interesting news on this, and they go into much better detail than we do. But yeah, so we'll continue with the show. But again, if you guys have any opposition to what we're saying, if you guys disagree with us, we are open to having a conversation over Twitter anytime. So we'll continue with the show.